I want to take a look at an interview that occurred on CNN with Republican Representative Tim Burchett, who got a lot of national attention recently after delivering a truly stunning response to a mass shooting in his state. After the mass shooting in Nashville, Tennessee, Tim Burchett was asked, what should Congress do? And essentially said nothing. Congress isn't going to be able to fix the problem. You'll see the exact moment I'm referencing played during this interview clip. But Republican Representative Tim Burchett appeared on CNN recently in the wake of yet another devastating mass shooting in Texas and got asked about his statement that he had made, and he doubled down. He doubled down. Truly, truly horrifying. Take a look at this.
Well, let me ask you on another topic. We had another horrific mass shooting down in Texas, as you know. 5 people killed after they asked their neighbor to quit shooting guns in his front yard. Let's listen to something that you said after the mass shooting in Nashville, and we'll talk about
it. We've got evil in this country, and everybody just needs to tone down the rhetoric a little bit, because all that does is gin it up in both sides, and then they point the finger and nothing happens. Because if you think Washington's going to fix this problem, you're wrong. They're not going to fix this problem. They are the problem.
It doesn't concern you that other countries don't have this level of gun
Other
violence?
countries don't have our freedom either. It's the United States of America. My father fought for this country. My mama flew an airplane. My mama lost a brother fighting the Nazis. Dad fought the Japanese. We've got incredible freedom in this country. And when people abuse that freedom, that's what happens.
Congressman, getting back to when you were saying that Washington's not going to fix this, a lot of people listen at home to that. And I mean, you like to speak, plain English to folks. A lot of people listened to what you just said and said, wait a minute, it is your job to fix this. And it's unacceptable to have mass shooting after mass shooting after mass shooting. Why not fix this? Get together with the Democrats and get it done.
Well, it happens a lot, Jim. That was cut off a little bit. I was probably speaking more from a Christian perspective. I also went on and said we need real revival in this country. I feel like we've turned from the Lord, and I know that maybe makes people's heads spin off sometimes when they hear somebody like that me say that. But it's just the lady.
But there's Christianity in other countries, and they don't have mass shootings.
Well, they don't have our freedom either. They don't have a Second Amendment and also the you want what happens.
But what about
is
that
say,
point?
Well, take away the.
But what about that point that you should be the ones to fix it? To say, well, we're not going to fix anything here in Washington. Well, that's your job.
Okay. She broke over 20 laws. What law are you going to do? Now you have people that can print guns.
As if your average American has access to a 3D printer that can print guns. But holding in my rage, let's walk through this. First of all, saying this is all because we've turned away from God and we need to have a Christian revival makes no sense when we have a higher rate of Christianity in this country compared to countless other countries that don't see the same gun violence. So that can't be it. Next thing to say, Congress shouldn't try to address the problem is maybe one of the most sickening things to hear from an elected official of a country that experiences a problem uniquely bad compared to every other country in that country. Because clearly, this isn't an unsolvable problem. Elected officials, just like yourself, Tim Burchett, have figured out how to decrease gun violence in every other developed country. So clearly, it's possible. You are just choosing not to take action. And then to his main point. Oh, well, that's because other countries don't have the freedom that we do. Okay, so you're admitting then that common sense gun control would decrease gun violence. Because we have been hearing for so long from anti-gun control advocates that no, it's not that we don't want people to be safer, it's that we think more guns that are unregulated does make people safer. But here, when asked, why do we see so much more gun violence than all these other countries, he says, because they don't have the freedom that we do. So Tim Burchett thinks then that it's the freedom that we have with his incorrect interpretation of the Second Amendment that is to blame for our gun violence. Okay, great. So stop saying you think a massively oversaturated and unregulated gun market is how we make people safe. Just say you think it's more important to protect your incorrect, distorted, irrational interpretation of the Second Amendment than the lives of our children and of people of all ages. Just say that. And by the way, this branding of the Second Amendment and of freedom has not always been universally adopted by conservatives. What I'm about to show you is the former conservative Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, who number one was conservative, and number two was a Supreme Court justice whose job ideally, is to accurately interpret the Constitution, saying what you're about to see about the Second Amendment.
Last week,
if I were writing the Bill of Rights now, there wouldn't be any such thing as the Second Amendment,
which says
that a well-regulated militia being necessary for the defense of the state, the people's rights to bear arms. This has been the subject of one of the greatest pieces of fraud, I repeat the word fraud, on the American public by special interest groups that I have ever seen in my lifetime. Now just look at those words. There are only 3 lines to that amendment. A well-regulated militia. If the militia, which was going to be the state army, was going to be well-regulated, why shouldn't 16 and 17 and 18 or any other age persons be regulated in the use of arms the way an automobile is regulated?
last week.
So a conservative Chief Justice, and that's Warren Burger, by the way, says the greatest piece of fraud on the American public, not the Second Amendment, but the manipulation of the intention of it to benefit gun manufacturers, has been a fraud on the American public. As I said when I covered the original clip of Tim Burchett responding to the Nashville mass shooting, if you don't have an interest in addressing the problems that face Americans, then get out of Congress. If your answer to a question about working on behalf of the American people to protect their lives is, no, I don't think we can do anything on that, then resign. That's your job. That is what our elected leaders are supposed to be doing every single day. Let me know what you think of all this on Twitter, Luke P. Beasley.